Welcome to the Bible Project, where we take the big picture, God's story, and make it a little smaller. We bring it into focus on the everyday lives of regular people like you and me. Today, we meet a regular guy named Gideon. He's got a real God-sized problem. Let's take a peek into the Old Testament book, Judges, chapters 6 through 8. Here's Gideon. Long ago, God's people, the Israelites, were in big trouble. Over and over, the Israelites did two things. First, they served God. Second, they also served idols. And when they did those two things, God got mad, very mad. To punish them, God handed them over to their enemies. These guys lived across the sea in a place called Mesopotamia. It was a long walk, but they liked to come over and visit, plunder the Israelites' fields, steal their sheep, and burn their barns and crops. The Israelites were scared and hungry. Their crops wouldn't grow because the Midianites kept eating them, so they cried out to God for help. Hey, God, remember us. Where? You're your people. Please save us from these bad guys. And God heard them. God had a plan to save his people, but his hero wasn't a soldier or a king. It was a farmer named Gideon, hiding in a wine press. One day, while Gideon was trying to secretly thresh some wheat, an angel appeared. "Hello, mighty warrior," the angel said. Gideon looked around. Asterisk, who? Me! He didn't feel mighty at all. In fact, he felt pretty small. But God saw something in Gideon that Gideon didn't see in himself. God said, "I will be with you. You will save Israel." Then Gideon did something super brave. Well, maybe it wasn't so brave. It was nighttime. Maybe that's why. He destroyed his father's altar to the false god Baal. His dad must have been pretty mad about that. The next morning, the townspeople were angry and said, "Gideon, what did you do?" But Gideon's father said, "If Baal is really a god, let him fight for himself." Now that's a great comeback. No one could argue with that. Still, Gideon wasn't totally convinced that God was with him. So that night he prayed a prayer. "God, if you are really with me, let the fleece be wet with dew and the ground dry." The next morning he woke up and squish, the fleece was soaking wet. So Gideon asked God again, "Now let the fleece be dry and the ground wet." And God did it. The fleece was dry, but there was water all around it. Gideon knew God was with him. So Gideon assembled a team of 32,000 men to beat up the Midianites. But then God said, "Too many." So Gideon told the scared ones to go home. 22,000 left! Still too many, God said. So Gideon took them to the river, and God narrowed the group down to just 300 men. That's it. Just 300 against thousands. But God wanted everyone to know victory would come from him, not from numbers. Then one night, Gideon crept into the enemy camp. While he was listening around, he heard one soldier tell another a crazy dream. "I had this dream last night. A loaf of bread rolled into our camp and knocked down a tent." His friend said, "That's Gideon. God will give him victory." Gideon's heart filled with courage. He returned to his men and gave them a very strange plan. "Here's what we'll do. Each man will take a trumpet and a torch and a clay jar, but no swords." His friends stared at him. "What?" But Gideon explained, "God will defeat the Midianites. He's going to confuse them. He'll make them panic and fight each other. We won't even need swords." At midnight, Gideon and his 300 heroes surrounded the camp. Suddenly, crash! They smashed their jars. Whoosh! The torches blazed in the night. Trumpets blasted loudly. They shouted, "For the Lord and for Gideon." The Midianites were terrified. They ran, they stumbled, they even fought each other. Only one tent remained standing. Gideon and his 300 men chased after the fleeing army. Finally, they caught up with the leader of the Midianites, Zebah and They were sitting on their thrones inside a big tent. Gideon said, "You guys are done. Surrender." But Zebah and Samina said, "No way. Bring it on." So Gideon sliced off Zebah's head and killed Samina. Soon, the whole valley was covered with dead bodies. After defeating the enemy, Gideon continued to lead Israel for 7 years. He judged them wisely and fairly. He was even able to make peace with the former enemies, the Ammonites and the Philistines. After he died, Israel once again fell into sin, and they cried out to God for help. And God raised up another judge named Jephthah. You can read about him in the next video. Okay, so now let's talk about the lesson. Gideon wasn't the strongest. He wasn't the bravest. But God chose him anyway. Because God doesn't look for the biggest or the best. He looks for people who will trust him. And with God, even the smallest can do mighty things. Sometimes we might think God only chooses special people to accomplish his mission. But in Gideon's story, God chose a regular guy who was afraid. If you're afraid, it's okay. Ask God for help. Like Gideon, pray, ask him for guidance, and follow him bravely. Just like Gideon, because God doesn't call the qualified, he qualifies those he calls. Thanks for watching. Check out our other videos! And don't forget to subscribe. God bless you.